it's a good thing and it's a good and bad thing in the sense that you're restricted to people in the area.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you're not going on Zoom. But at the same time, going on Zoom loses such a gift. There's such a... Like a lot of my guests, like a lot of the guests I have on mine, they do tend to be on Zoom, even if they... I mean, because I don't have this set up, right? So like, even if it was with an Aussie, it's on Zoom. Which is such a shame. But I just don't have the... I don't have the... Like the help to do all this stuff. You would know, right? Like this is a lot of work, eh?
Yeah.
Like
it's all Sarah.
Sarah, honestly, how much work goes into one episode? Like the editing and like it's even that, like 3 cameras, like it's not a...
Yeah, it's tough.
I feel like being a speaker is different to being a podcaster. Like primarily, I just want to get out there and talk.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, like this is a whole other animal. Like it just, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're doing so good at it, mate.
Thanks be to God. It's honestly... It's all Sarah. I just come and sit and talk.
It's really not. It's so...
And Sarah
it's
does
AI.
everything else. But yeah, there's good AIs. Like,
we have a camera cutter, so it detects when someone's talking, and I tell it which camera is their camera, and then it just automatically cuts the whole podcast for us. And so it's just the color settings, the lighting, that stuff that we need to change ourselves, and then like if we have to cut something out, and then we put our like logos in and stuff. That's the only thing that I really have to do. It's really not that.
We try not to cut as much, like, obviously for bathroom breaks and stuff, like, but we used to have all these like segments and stuff last year and whatever, and like Anthony's not with us anymore, so Sarah had to learn everything herself, and
you lost
Anthony Costa
too.
Yeah, he's not because he's like basically with Perusia every day now, which is awesome. Like, God bless him. But yeah, Sarah had to like learn everything. So my idea for how I wanted to do the podcast anyway was like uncut. So,
which I like that, man.
Me too. That. Yeah, it's like I enjoy that, listening to that
raw
stuff.
And real.
Yeah,
raw and real.
That's what I like. So, it makes Sarah's job a bit easier, thank God, because she's not having to chop and change and all that stuff. But if you ever need a podcast set up, you're more than welcome to come here.
And I can help you edit.
Space.
Thanks, man. Seriously.
And we'll come and do the background stuff for you. And Sarah can help edit. That's a genuine offer, by the way.
The clogs are turning.
It's a genuine offer. I'm not just saying that.
That would, mate.
You can see the...
Yeah.
We don't want to take a moment to think about that offer.
It's a genuine offer. I've thought about it already, and I said it.
It took me 4 minutes to get here. I was like, seriously?
That's
so
actually great.
Which it took us 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So now it's so far for you guys. Like now you're still living in Bankstown, aren't you?
Yeah, we're back in Bankstown, so it's about a 35-minute drive here, which isn't bad. Like, I don't mind, and it's a nice drive.
But like, your brother's got a key, doesn't he? You just have a key. Sorry, He's so sweet with all this.
Yeah, he just lets me come in and do my thing. He's really helpful, and it's also helpful that basically the house is all upstairs, like except for Maria now. She's just been staying with them until she goes back to Spain, which is in 2 days. Being down here, like other than her being down here, it's our space. Yeah, pretty much. It's really handy.
Okay. I've actually been praying about something like this.
Oh,
this is crazy. Sorry,
oh
I'm
my
a bit
gosh.
seriously a bit like because I'm just like I just don't have the room. I don't have the skills, and like honestly, it wouldn't even be that often because like there are a lot of guests that are online, but just the odd one in person. If I could, mate, that would be so. I'd be so. That would mean a lot to me. Seriously.
100%. And we could like edit the lights so that it's like a different color for yours, and we'll get rid of this. Obviously, we can even decorate a little bit for you if you want. Put your logo up here. Like it's
mate, it have to be co-branded. Somehow, brother. That's awesome. Anyway.
Honestly, don't even worry about that. That stuff is not important. Just use the space.
That's very, very kind. Very kind.
Oh, I said I was gonna get the pump for the ball, and I completely forgot.
Is it in your car?
It's a flat ball. No. The pump is usually in the Oztag bag.
Is it already?
Yeah. But we can cut all that out. and stuff.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I don't think we've actually formally started, have we?
No.
Unless
It's wherever you
unless
want.
you want that to be in, but it's up to you.
So Anthony just offered me his studio to
to record literally anytime you want.
Yeah. Wow.
But also,
okay.
it doesn't lose as much online as you think, because your episode with Tim Staples was the best. Oh, it was so good,
Mate. Yeah.
And the questions you were asking.
He's good, eh? He's actually so good.
I know.
I love that guy. I love him.
He's so good. And I was when I saw him, so I've been listening to his talks and stuff recently because I started reading at the start of the year, Behold Your Mother.
Oh, mate.
And then you sent this is what's weird. Okay, so I was sharing with Sarah everything I was learning from Behold Your Mother. So like I used to always say to her, oh, what was it? In the Greek, hail full of grace. Kaide
Oh yeah.
kekari tomine, or however you say it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I used to just say it to Sarah randomly because I was like, this is like, it's crazy. And then you sent in I love those emails you send, by the
Yeah,
way.
they're the best.
Good, yeah.
I send them to people.
They're so good.
Awesome. Oh,
Like
that's
read
fucking
this and
great.
cry.
Oh, why didn't I do that? I'm going to start doing that.
Thank you.
And they're
So,
so good.
all that is, I just write a blog every week, and we make the blog an email.
It's so good.
That is,
But it's actually been such a gift for me. I mean, I'm learning new stuff every week, and
how
but
good.
anyway, so yeah.
No,
Mother.
it's the best. Like, and so you sent an email as I had just like started reading Behold Your Mother about why
Catholics don't worship Mary.
No, it was before that.
Ark of the Covenant, maybe, or the.
It was the one. No, the title Mother of God,
Ah, yes.
and why that teaches us about our Lord, like
So
more
yeah,
about
just
our
so
Lord.
you know, anything I ever write on Mary, I'm just stealing from Tim Staples, like 100%.
That's me. That's me now. Everything I say on Our Lady is right.
He's like the authority on Mary. Like any question about Mary is him.
Yes.
He's the best. He's
so on point.
literally got the most thorough and biblical, historical answers on her, mate. He's a beast.
Oh,
He's
everything.
something else.
It
So
seemed like
I
it's
told him I was like I'm going to be annoying, and like pretty much as often as I'm allowed to host him on my show, I'm just going to get him back
Nice.
for every topic, and he's like, yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, mate,
That's awesome.
You'd be surprised how good Catholic answers are. Like Catholic answers are amazing. They're so willing to like book in, and I've got Joe Heschmeyer. Do you know Joe Heschmeyer?
Not
So
the name.
he's another Catholic apologist at Catholic Answers.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
interviewing him on Thursday. morning.
Oh, is he the one that makes the short videos on Instagram? No,
Might.
probably they
No, I
probably
think
all
they've
do, but
got a social media guy full time at Catholic Answers. The guy with the long hair beanie.
no,
Okay.
I haven't seen him.
Joe Heschmeyer, he's good. Joe Heschmeyer is he's a young guy, like 30, 36, 37. But mate, yeah, he's a beast. Very, very intelligent.
Yeah, him. He does like these short videos on Instagram.
Does he? Okay.
That's him? Yeah.
Show me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's he? I think it's called Shameless Popery or something. His podcast.
Oh, he has a podcast. Oh, maybe that's what the clips are from.
I
His
see.
Yeah,
podcast.
it must be. Yeah. So I'm just gonna.
Ah,
Yeah, it's but yeah, he's good, man. I'm gonna.
That's so good.
He wrote a book called "The Early Church Was the Catholic Church,"
oh,
and
What a beast.
The interview is going to be on the Eucharist and the early church. So I've got like eight or nine questions ready for him.
that is so good.
Yeah.
So they're like responsive.
You can you can book any of the Catholic Answers people in for a podcast, no dramas.
Really?
They'll give you 60 minutes with anyone you want.
What?
So I've also had Carlo Brassard, who's another
Demolition.
one, and I'm going to get Trent Horn on later
awesome.
in the year.
Trent Horn's pretty good.
Yeah, but honestly, mate, they're unreal.
Do you mind if I ask? I hope I'm not out of line, but do they charge?
Mate, you just offered me a studio, so ask whatever you want. No,
Can I then ask you to move your microphone closer to you, please?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're so fine.
Oh,
it
yeah.
just,
Oh,
it just
let's-
needs to be like in close proximity.
Yeah, you don't.
That
It doesn't
turn
have to
a
be.
bit?
We
out
can
your mouth.
change it
yeah,
for
it
you,
turns
so-
as much as you. Don't
Like
be
just
shy to
be
like.
aggressive.
Oh, be aggressive. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Does it need to come out or anything like that?
J-
Be lower,
Is that
higher?
okay?
No, it's good if just a little bit closer because I want people to hear you clearly. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
What a pro.
Very good. No, they're free, mate. They're free.
That's so good.
So for them, it's just great exposure. Like an Aussie, like I think they get excited about an Aussie podcast too.
Really?
And like we got a very
reach out.
I got a small listener. What do you call it? A small like
Audience,
listenership.
like, yeah.
That's a word.
Like
listenership.
Listenership. We're going with it.
Like probably like on average we might get 100 views an episode. But honestly, I tell every guest I get on, I'm just like, mate, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm really my reason for the podcast is so selfish. Like, I just love asking my actual questions to these experts, and whoever else wants to listen in, go for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll publish it. But like, I actually every question I ask, just so you know, is to some degree a genuine question that I have. So I try not to I try and ask like the basic ones that would benefit everyone.
Yeah.
But also it's like I'm weird like that. Like even if I know something that I'm reading in a book, I will keep highlighting it, and so like I want to hear the same stuff over and over and over.
Yes.
So I do that I'll always ask a few of the basic questions just to hear their take on that question, and then I'll always ask a few of my own.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it, but because then it's not like if we were just doing this for the views, then we'd be disappointed like constantly, because then you'd always just want more views. Yeah. But like, I'm the same. Like I mean, stuff
you're actually interested in.
Yeah. Like I'm not just gonna come and talk about anything like that. That I just don't want to. It's
that's
kind of for me too. Yeah.
Oh well, whatever you're doing is working better than me, though, mate. I don't get a lot of listeners, but
you probably just need Father Ben to do one with you, and you'll be sweet. It was all Father Ben, no, like the initial attraction is to hear, hear like an expert, you know.
Yeah,
you're an expert in your field, so and you're expanding your field. You're like
having fun now, having fun.
Yeah.
I think this year's been the most fun we've had so far.
Yeah? Thanks be to God.
Still love all the dating and chastity stuff, but it's been fun getting into different topics as well. It's been really I've enjoyed it a lot.
Awesome. How's the book going?
Good. It's actually with the St. Paul Centre at the moment, which is Scott Hahn's publishing company. They're currently reviewing it, so it may be getting published through Scott Hahn's.
That is awesome.
That'd be amazing.
That's
so
huge.
I like Charbel Ray. She was like, "Look," he goes, "if you can get it through a bigger publisher than me, like try." So he actually helped me email the editor and get in. If they say no, I'll go through Charbel. Nice. But the book's coming out, definitely in the next few months. Whether it's them or Charbel, it'll be out. So
I can't wait.
Yeah. We should start, eh?
So no, that's okay.
A great chat.
Yeah, it's good just to catch up.
We haven't even. Yeah, I know. I was like, sorry, I haven't even. Honestly, don't worry about the gym, mate. Do not worry about the gym. I'm serious. I'm good. If we're gonna have, I can already tell we haven't even started yet. So we're gonna have fun.
No, honestly,
I'll be the time lady. I'm really good at cutting people off.
Okay.
Yeah. Sarah will keep us in check, and it's like, to get a routine and stuff going, or like to be consistent with it, is tough. So I don't want to pull you away from your consistency at the gym. So Sarah will keep us in check.
Just maybe cut it if you notice I'm shrinking. then
we'll do some bicep curls.
I was gonna say you're looking good. You're actually looking fit.
Well, I've started CrossFit. I'm doing CrossFit now, not just like standard weightlifting. Damn. So like CrossFit is it's like, have you ever done it or know much about it? Yeah. It's the most like complete way to work out I've ever seen. Like you do, it's all circuit stuff, and it's like pull-ups and chin-ups and like handstand walks, and it's like crazy stuff, mate. Like,
is that like calisthenics? No?
I don't think that's the word.
I don't know what any of these words are.
Anyway, but you do a lot of. It's crazy. Yeah.
So can you handstand walk?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. I can do handstand push-ups, but you're building your build up to.
That's
mad.
Do you have a coach?
So the way CrossFit works is it's all classes. So you can't just until you become like an athlete in the sense you're actually training for a comp. you can come into the gym and use do your own training like outside the class time. But someone like me, it's just like I just rock up and you've got a trainer and like, they kind of know where each person's at, and there's different stages of each. So if the workout is handstand walk, right? Some people are not up to that, so they'll just do handstand push-ups, and then if you can't handstand push-up, you'll do a push-up on a box, or just a standard push-up, or a push-up on, like, it's what I love about it. It's like, no matter where you are, there's a movement that fits where you are. So yeah, it's crazy. I love it.
That's awesome. That takes a lot. I don't like working out in public. I'm like trying.
I can't get him to the gym. I can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I started like trying to work out consistently.
He doesn't want to show everyone how massive he really is.
Yeah. I wish it was that.
Yeah, the logo is actually really accurate.
Yeah. So I was going to say, mate, you look pretty buff in your jersey, mate.
The logo has been my motivation to try. I got to reach that level.
That's awesome. You got one massive pec, mate. That's good.
Yeah, that's all it is. Just the left one. So that's all I've been training is just my left side.
I love it.
It's
great, man.
it's been filthy, but I only do it at home. Like,
nice.
So
nice.
I've got my own like home workouts and stuff, like a bit of equipment.
How good?
Just to start, because I've never done it before. But anyway, so that's real like gutsy. Good on you for doing that. Yeah, it's inspiring. Anyway, since we had you on the podcast last year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you had come on to talk about, I think it was just all things chastity. Like we gave you a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
But today will be a bit more focused, if that's okay with you. But before we get into that, since you last came on the podcast, you've had a new addition to the family. Is that right?
Yeah. So we had Charlotte on New Year's Eve. So she just snuck in 2024. Charlotte was So I don't know I think maybe word got out, but she was pretty sick straight away. So I know we had Father Ben was offering up masses for her. She had meningitis, which was like a brain infection.
Oh,
she was in hospital for like a week, and she had a really rough start to life, mate. But yeah, now she's nice and fat, and
thank God.
She's cute, mate. Yeah, she's such a blessing. She's 6 months old now.
Oh, good.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Baby number 4, is that right?
That was her 4th one.
That is awesome.
So good.
Oh, good.
Can't wait for number 5.
God bless you.
Oh, I was like, is this an announcement?
Oh, no. Well,
that's awesome. Thanks,
I announced the last one on Against the Grain podcast. No, did I?
Was it on it or after it?
It was something.
I think we were expecting during that time, but I don't think it was like news yet, was it? Like Charlotte was not news.
No, I don't think so.
Because it was probably she was probably only a few months out of being born. But this one, unfortunately, there's no announcement at the moment. Sorry, no.
That's all right. No, please.
We're excited for whenever number 5 comes, God willing, but not yet. Still got a young one at home.
That's all right. Yeah, that completely makes sense. How's Maddie doing?
She's good, mate. Yeah, so we started home. Our eldest Joseph is 5. He'll be 6 next week. We started homeschooling Joseph.
Wow.
So there's a massive homeschooling like group of families out west that's really growing. Yeah, I mean, it kind of came from Maddie. She was excited to try home. I mean, I was homeschooled for a few years. It wasn't really on my radar, to be honest, to homeschool, but she was like reading up on it. And so yeah, we're homeschooling Joseph, and we're having fun, mate. We're having fun. Nice culture, nice home culture, and
it's awesome.
Spend heaps of time together, and yeah, it's awesome. We're having fun.
Oh, good.
I teach the faith every day. That's my job. Nice. And then Maddie does, math, science, all the other stuff. But it's fun. Like pretty much every day, like I'll sit down with the kids and do a faith lesson.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm loving
Thanks
it,
be to
mate.
God.
Loving
That's
it.
it. And you know that they're getting the truth because
Well, yeah, you hope so. Yeah.
you're controlling. Yeah.
I hope so. Well, it's good. Well, you
Sure
know
they
what's been awesome about homeschooling, already. By the way, I'm not criticizing anyone that doesn't. I'm not one of those. They are out there, but I'm not one of those. Especially like the pirate schools are doing an amazing job.
Yes.
I'm so. Like we're still involved. I've got a lot of friends that are dads there. Like it's a very good community to be a part of. But what I have enjoyed about homeschooling is it encourages a mindset of I am the primary educator of my child, which interestingly, Pope John Paul II, actually he says parents are the primary the primary educators of their children, whether they're homeschooled or not. Like even if they're going to school, it's not like you don't outsource like all the education. It's like you are still meant to be thinking, how am I forming my own child? So I think like homeschooling has just kind of helped put me in that, like, yeah, I am the primary educator. Like we have to do this, do it well.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
but yeah, we've had fun. We've had lots of fun.
Thanks be to God.
Doing
That's
it.
so good. Good to hear. Before we continue, I'm so sorry. I forgot to offer you anything at all. Do you want snacks? Coffee? Can we get you a coffee?
Oh, that's all right. No, that's all right. That's all
Coffee
right.
can
I think
always-
I'm okay.
Are you sure? There's just a coffee machine upstairs. You can get whatever coffee you
Will
like.
you guys
as
have
far
one?
as I know. Sarah might. I'll have a hot chocolate if they do that. Do they do that?
Yeah, I can figure it out. Yeah.
Maria will know how to use it.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
A little black coffee would be fun. Thanks so much.
I think we should kind of get back to to the heart of the show. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna be like firing some questions at you, but then also, I'll kind of, if I have something that you say strikes me, I'll add my.
Yeah,
it's just,
for sure.
We're just chilling, having a conversation.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
awesome. And I have. So I know. So there are two topics.
Yeah, I did see these in the calendar. Yeah,
Yeah.
the joy of married love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like a little bit of parenting purity.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay. The parenting purity part is like, it's one conversation that I with my Exodus group at the start of the year, we went out for lunch, a few of us, and then we were just having this conversation, which I'll get into a bit later when we get into it. But it made me think, all right, you know what? I want to have this conversation on the podcast.
Nice. Okay.
And so you were the first person I thought of when when I thought that.
Fun. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not necessarily going too deep into it, unless you want to. I'm more than happy to. But it's about one thing in particular.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry to give you that
That's
little
great.
brief thing without actually going into the story, but
Beautiful.
we're going to follow a specific structure. For anyone that's not, for anyone listening who doesn't know who Simon is, do you want to give just a really brief introduction as to who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I'm first of all, I'm married. So husband, father to 4 kids, and I run this new want to show off the new shirt. So
Looks good.
running a full-time ministry for the last we launched Fire Up Ministries in 2017. But I've been doing talks on the faith and like youth ministry since 2012. So pretty much straight out of school. So very passionate about God's plan for marriage and our sexuality. I love talking about how to date authentically and with purity. It's like a favorite topic of mine. Have a book coming out soon on that topic.
Plug.
And but yeah, more recently, just getting into Catholicism in general. And I'm very happy to admit that I'm new to giving talks on other topics other than chastity and sexuality. But mate, I read a lot, listen to a lot, I study a lot, and yeah, I'm excited to keep growing. But yeah, that's me, man. I do it full time and do podcast interviews with friends, that kind of thing too. Yeah,
love it. And you're all over. So you do the talks. You're a lot more active now in the social media field, like with YouTube and podcasts and stuff. At least than previous,
more than in recent times. Yeah.
Yeah,
look,
which is awesome.
Yeah, look, I've never looked at myself as I'm not a content creator. Like I'm not someone that, like, I don't sit down and shoot videos that are explicitly meant for YouTube, you know. Even when I did do podcasts with Maddie, it was sitting down with a microphone, you know, with my Ugg boots on in our pajamas, with a cup of tea at the end of the day, and we just have a conversation we wanted to have, and just put the microphone on, you know. So it was always very, like, I've never thought of myself as having an online ministry. I've really always felt drawn to, like, the incarnational side of things. Like, I love giving a talk where I can poke the person in the front row. Like, that's where I think I come alive the most. I love being in person. So, we're starting to cut up some old courses we've had and put them on YouTube. But yeah, I'm out there doing anywhere from 1 to 10 talks a week in person at the moment, including this stuff, interviews and stuff. But I'm having a blast.
I'm glad. Thank you so much.
I love my job a lot.
I love it. I love the job that you do. It's so good. And you know how much it's impacted me. But if you want to hear me talk about that, our first episode with Simon, I think I went on a bit of a rant on that. So, thank you so much, Simon, for coming on. Like, I know that you have a busy schedule and stuff, and just to give your time to come and do this is awesome. So thank you.
Thank you.
Let's finally jump in. I know I've said that a few times, but I'm just going to ask you a really broad question, if you don't mind, just to start off, which is, we mentioned the topic, the joy of married love.
Yeah.
And I mean, it kind of stood out to me when I saw that title, not because I didn't think that necessarily marriage shouldn't be joyful, but you just don't hear it spoken about that often. Yeah, I'm supposed to be happy, but you just don't hear it spoken about that often. So,
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm happy to let you sort of guide the conversation if you'd like, but I hope you don't mind me asking the really broad question of, what do you mean by joy? Like having joy in marriage, or the joy of married love.
Great question. So the joy of married love. Sorry, the topic, the joy of married love, was a talk that I was asked to write for a marriage conference that I spoke at a few years ago. So I haven't. I think I've only given this talk. I gave that talk once, and I don't know if I've ever given it again. So I can't even remember exactly
the content of it.
Can't exactly remember what the topic was about.
I love that.
However, but look, I think it's a great question, because, like, joy is different to happiness, right? Like I think many of us have heard this distinction. I'm not saying anything too new. But, you know, we can go through moments where we're feeling, you know, up and happy, and we can have an experience that makes us really happy, or we feel happy in a moment. But you can also, you know, you can feel down. You can get up one morning, not feel the best or whatever, or things can happen that can make you not feel as happy. But joy is something that no one has the power to take away from you. truly, which I think it's that interior peace that comes with doing God's will. So it's like, what is it that, why is it that so many of the saints that were like today we celebrate, it's the feast day today. So you're Roman Catholic? You're Maronite, aren't you? So in the Roman...
I mean, I was baptized in the Maronite church, but I practice in the...
Okay.
in the Roman Catholic.
So like in the Roman Catholic, like in our calendar today, it's the feast of the martyrs who were persecuted under the under Nero in the year 64 AD.
Oh wow!
So he set Rome on fire and killed heaps of Christians. But like there's like you look at like all the martyrs of the church, like so many of them went to their death like singing hymns or like I was like, how do you get there, man? Like how do you get to the place where you could be going to your death? And even like the fear of death doesn't take away your peace or that joy. And I think that's what I think we're called to have in marriage, and really whatever vocation we're called to have, we are supposed to live in joy. And I think the reason it's so important to talk about the joy of married love is because if you're called to marriage, that's your vocation, right? So vocation means call. And who's doing the calling? It's God who's doing the calling. He's called you to that particular sacrament with that particular person. And although there are going to be, and as someone who's been married almost 8 years, I can attest to this. 8 years, almost 8 years married, 4 children. There are some very, very challenging times. There are some days where you don't feel on cloud 9. You're exhausted, you're tired. Like our kids are all just sick. Getting up literally every hour, kids climbing in your bed, waking up with kids on your face, waking up to being coughed on, someone's just weed all over the toilet in the middle of the night in the dark. Someone thought the toilet was in the middle of the hallway, like all kinds of crazy stuff. Like it's not easy, right? All the time. But then you have moments like I just had lunch with my kids before. And we're laughing and, it's like there are some tough times, but there's also some moments of like unexplainable happiness and excitement at just how beautiful family life can be. But the joy is, I think, what helps you maintain. There is a joy, this steady peace, whether the emotions are high or the emotions are low, like you're feeling, good in the moment or down in the moment. It's this consistent joy at knowing this is what I'm called to, and this is what's making me a saint. And so, I have no idea if that's actually what was in the talk that I gave that day. Probably not. But when I think about the joy of married love now, that's what comes to mind. No matter, so I've been really praying about this at the moment. So, contrary to what you might think, I'm not as holy as you might hope I was. But something I've been really praying about at the moment is like, no matter what the environment is like in my home, no matter what my kids are doing or what they're not doing, right? That I don't lose my peace and I don't lose the consistent joy at living out my vocation to the best that I can. Anyway, that's been a big focus. That's
awesome. Thank you for you're always so honest and vulnerable, which I love. So thank you. But you were one of the first people. Actually, no, I take that back. You were the first person that I heard say that it was in relationships in general. Sorry, you were speaking about marriage, but you had said it's in relationships in general. Is that you wake up, like sometimes you wake up and you don't actually feel like you don't feel like, almost feel like loving the person that you're with, like it's not something that you just wake up and you go, all right, I'm ready to sacrifice my whole life now. Sacrifice my will, my everything for this person. It's like, and so you know, I'd always heard that, you know, love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice, it's an act of the will, it's whatever. But then when you had said that, it made it almost like come alive in my mind.
Yeah.
It was like, you know what? It's not like it. You don't almost always feel like this sense of fulfillment, or even like necessarily the feeling of happiness when you're sacrificing whatever it is. You're like, it could be anything, you know, your will, your time, your desires, anything for the person that you love. But it's like, it's just something that almost like you're just called to do, even when you don't feel like it, I guess.
Yes.
You know, and you were I hope I'm not doing what you said an injustice in the way I've explained that, but it was the first time I'd heard that, and I was like, that's a really good like reality check almost. Like, it was good to know that it's okay for me to not feel like it all the time, but it's in my head now that
just don't forget Sarah's right there.
I know, yeah. This is, I mean, I hope this has helped me be a bit better, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm hoping Sarah is thinking, oh, actually, yeah, I have Simon to thank for letting Anthony know that instead of why doesn't he do that enough?
We'll talk after.
But yikes! But like, it was just good to know that's a reality, and that I'm actually called to push through not feeling like it, to be able to still love, like, not just Sarah, but anyone in my life. Does that make sense? Like,
mate, you did that justice, and
but I'm glad.
Think, honestly, this is the thing, right? So I wrote a blog on this because I have been asked this question so many times. So young, how old are you guys? Like late 20s? Is it
25?
Mid 20s, okay, right? So in this age, like your age bracket, for example, right? Like people, like a young girl or guy will come up and they'll be like, oh, you know, like, so, you know, I've been with this guy or girl for a year, you know, and like, I just don't feel like the same anymore. Like, I don't feel like in love. Like, and I think maybe that was the way I described it. Like love is a choice, yes, but there's a difference between like choosing to love even when you don't feel like the in love feelings, which in those times is a lot harder. But then there are times where you're like, I feel very in love, and in that, when you're feeling in love, it's so much easier to do those acts of kindness and love, right, as well. Yeah. But I like, there's a lot of young couples that'll be like, yeah, I don't feel it anymore. And they assume that means their love's over. So their relationship is done. And so, because at the start of a relationship, like, you know, you remember, you meet and you're like, God, you know, most beautiful woman in the world. Like, I've never seen anyone as beautiful as her, right? And, you know, I won't speak for Sarah, but I'm hoping...
You'll be right, yes.
I'm hoping that she was like, mate, you know, I've never seen a left pec that big. That's awesome. Sarah, it was the left pec, wasn't it, that got you?
I actually drew it myself, so it's just...
It's her idea.
So good, right? So Sarah was obviously drawn to your body and your personality as well. But like the feeling of being in love, it's so real at the beginning. Like you can't stop talking about the person that you love with everyone. You're not annoying everybody because of your new love, and it's and like nothing actually feels like a sacrifice yet. Isn't that interesting?
It's so accurate.
Like, it actually, your love is not tested yet at the beginning, because literally there's nothing you could do, you could be asked to do by the other that would inconvenience you.
Wow, that is so true.
Like, it's beautiful, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
I remember one of the first, like Maddie, there was a fudge shop in Darling Harbour. She just loved these literally fudge chocolates. And one day I was like, not at uni, and I was like, I'm just going to go and get her fudge. And just drove to Darling Harbour. Literally, I think I was parked got out, got the fudge, and back in the car within like 3 minutes. And then just drove all the way back to her place and gave it to her at the end of the day. And like her family thought I was so weird. They were like, man, like that's like half a day just like driving to get fudges. And at the time, I couldn't understand why that was like odd. I was like, that was the easiest thing in the world to just go and get her favorite, you know. And she shared them with me as well, which was nice. But but I remember like at the beginning, there's no such thing as sacrifice. Everything flows easily and beautifully. But then it's like that kind of like cloud nine love, that butterfly feeling in the, you know, that young love. That kind of love is not deep enough to last for forever. And so our love is tested and it's given opportunities to grow and to deepen. And so when the emotions, and they do, like I've met a lot of young couples that have said to me, not a lot of young couples, but I have met young couples that have been like, you know what, like we're going to be that first couple where like it just doesn't ever die. Like we are just going to be in love forever. And I'm like, yeah, I said that too, you know. I was like, you know what, like it actually, it's not about being like so good and so holy that feeling never dies. In fact, that is a necessary process of forging a deeper love than the puppy love, the young love, will ever be able to achieve. And so it's in those moments when you feel a little bit drier or when things are getting a bit hard. And by the way, there's a whole host of reasons why that can happen. Like when I look back on the times in my marriage in the last 7.5 years, where it's been hardest to love Madeline, it's actually been because I've been battling something hard in my own life. So like, in fact, my dad shared this with me. Actually, it was like one of the most helpful pieces of advice I've ever heard. Seriously. And my dad, been mum and dad married like 38 years, I think, 37 or 8 years. Wow. And Dad said to me, if you ever just feeling like a bit dry or like things are a bit hard, just remember it's probably something that like you're dealing with. It's not actually Madeline. Probably it's probably something that you're wrestling or battling. And I can honestly say pretty much every time I've really gone through a season, like a winter, like a tough time, it's been because something's been weighing heavily on me. And when you don't feel, you know, full of joy and love and excitement and happiness, when you struggle to look at yourself in the mirror and like have that healthy self-love, when you don't have that love inside, it's harder to like extend it, right? But it's in those times when an act of love truly becomes an act of love because it's a sacrifice. And you're like, I actually don't feel warm and fuzzy at the moment, and I don't actually want to go and sacrifice this or do this for her or treat her that way or say that thing or whatever it is. But you do it anyway. That is real love. Like that is when it is forged stronger and stronger. And like married couples that make it like all the way are going to be the couples that even in the midst of those times, they just kept pushing through and pushing through, and they loved even when it didn't feel warm and fuzzy. Because if you leave or walk out of a relationship the second that feeling dies, you're never ever going to learn to love deeper than just the puppy love at the beginning. And you'll end up like you'll fall in love with someone until it dies, and then imagine, well, it must be over now. So you break up, you date someone else that's fun and exciting, and then that's going to go through the same time. So people never learn how to let their love mature.
Wow.
Ever. So yeah, we have to go through that, and everyone's going to go through that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way either. It's like, you're right that if you don't actually learn to love through that, then you're pretty much never going to settle down with someone. You can't.
Yeah. And I've only really picked that up because of how many young people I have seen ask this question. It's like we live in a culture where and even in the church, like this is a mindset in the church. And by the way, I'm not going to stand on my high horse here and pretend like when it hit me, it knocked me as well. I was like, wow, like, geez, I was supposed to be like the chastity guy that was going to nail all this and get all this perfect. And when I went through my first like time of feeling like, oh, I've really got to start working harder to love her and choose to love Madeline even when I don't feel like it. Like it was very, very difficult. But just know, if anyone's listening to this and they're at that time, it's an opportunity to go deeper. And if you never, ever persevere, you'll never learn to love well. Like the highest form of love, as Jesus says, I think it's John chapter 10, verse like 15 to 20, somewhere in there. He talks about how the highest form of love is to lay one's life down for their friend or for the one that you love. Jesus wasn't excited about being crucified, obviously, right? But he gave himself even to the point of death, right? And it hurt in pain. And so that is the highest form of love. Choosing to do an act of love when it actually costs you, there's nothing greater.
Wow.
Mm.
That is so well put.
Mm.
Thank you. And also, side note, thank you, because you helped me write my best man speech for my best mate who just got married. So a part of it was what I learned from you,
Awesome.
which was great.
Awesome.
And it was that precise thing was the part about choosing to love even when it hurts, even when it's painful and it costs you. So,
and then the real test is because, and again, I'm guilty of this, is even striving to not let the person you love see that you're struggling to love. So like sometimes we can be like, oh, I do not feel like getting up and, getting that sick child tonight. But, because I love you, I will do it for you. Right? It's like when it's also not a time to make out to showcase the fact that we're not happy about loving, but we're doing it anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the joy of marriage. Here we go. Right. See, there is a point to all this, right? The joy of married love is, and I don't live this perfectly, of course, but the joy of married love is the striving to know whether it's easy or whether it's hard, that I'm living with an interior peace, knowing this is my vocation, this is what I'm called to, and I'm going to love the best that I possibly can right now. And I'm not going to grumble or complain at all. So ideally, my wife should not even know if I'm in a winter.
Wow.
Because it shouldn't, if she can be like, oh, like if she can tell that, if she can say, oh, he's not doing as much for me at the moment, right? Then what does that mean? That means my love is only as strong as how I feel on that particular day.
Oh,
right? So like if I'm like on cloud 9, I'm like, hey, like what can I do for you today? And she's like, oh, he's in a good mood. Okay, great. I mean, that's beautiful. I'm not saying, right, that's great. But if on the days that I'm not feeling as moved to serve, she can see I'm not, then it's like, well, that's not a great test of your love. And I shouldn't be grumbling about it anyway. Every day should be a consistent gift of self, whether I feel like it or not. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So then what do you have to say? I don't know if I've asked you this actually before, but what do you have to say to the idea that marriage is give and take? It's
50-50.
like, yeah, 50-50. You give as much as you get, all of that modern stuff that you hear. Actually, I don't know if it's modern, but...
I have another blog on that. It's called Love is Not Give and Take. So you've heard me talk about Antun.
Yes.
Have you heard my chastity talk on Antun?
I have.
Okay, so Anton told me that day in the nursing home that I met him at. I was 19. Yes. He told me love is not give and take. He said that is one of the myths and the misconceptions about love and marriage. He said I remember him saying, he was like, I don't remember this is like 13, 14 years ago. But like, I remember on that encounter with that man changed my life. But I remember him saying, like, the secret to real love is that both the husband and the wife, right, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, are striving to give 100% each. It's not like love is not 50-50. Like, you're not giving half to Sarah and Sarah's giving half to you. It's two people who donate 100% of themselves to the other. So love is gift, which is another way of saying love is give. It's giving and giving and giving. And that, so this is the beautiful thing, is that if you are so focused on giving Sarah 100% of who you are, all you're concerned about is her happiness and her joy. And so you do everything, you like die to yourself every day, die to your selfish desires, because you are all about wanting to love and serve her. How's Sarah going to feel being with a man like that? Amazing.
Pretty good, I
yeah.
know.
You're like, wow, like it's amazing. Like I'm in a relationship with a person who is just completely concerned about me and about loving me and being a gift to me. So because of that mindset that you have, she will be blessed, because she's on the receiving end of someone that doesn't have a love and doesn't have a give and take attitude, but a give attitude. But the ideal is that Sarah also has the 100% give attitude. And so Sarah is living, everything that she has is about loving and serving you and your happiness and your joy, and going out of her way to bless you. And then how are you going to feel being in a relationship with someone that loves you like that, right? You're going to be like, this is amazing. And so this is the thing. It's love is in our mind, in our mindset, it should always be, I'm all about giving to the other person. But when you're mutually doing that, you bless one another. And so you make her happy because you're a gift to her, but she makes you happy because she's a gift to you. The problem is that only works if you are both 100% in on giving. Mm. Because the moment, if you have a 50-50 attitude, it's like, all right, I'm going to give this much and she needs to meet me halfway. All she's got to do is have like one bad day where she doesn't come halfway, right? And so because we give, if with that mindset, with the give and take attitude, we're only giving so long as they're reciprocating. So I will give this much and it's your job to meet me here as well. And so if she doesn't show up one day as good as you want her to, and she gives less than what you expect, then naturally we're more likely to pull back as well. So I'm not gonna, and again that might not happen on the first day, but if someone is if we feel like someone is consistently, not giving what we think that they should be giving, and I'm going to give this much, and she's supposed to give this much, then what happens is both couples, so both people, start analyzing what the other is not bringing, rather than what they're giving, which actually leads to them falling away.
Wow.
And they start to resent each other because, well, she's not giving as much as I deserve, and then she's like, well, he's not giving as much as I need. And so the focus shifts from what can I give to what I'm not getting. Wow. Which is dangerous. Yeah. Like, just as a married man, that is a dangerous mindset. If my mindset, and by the way, I slip into this, of course, but it's not healthy, and I'm struggling against that. But whenever you start looking at what your spouse is not doing for you, as opposed to what I'm supposed to be doing, that's when the intimacy gets damaged. So yeah, I don't agree with the love is given. I don't believe in love is compromise. I don't believe in love is give and take. I think love is 100% give. And if both people, now again, sorry, this gets into another whole problem. In that like in a Christ-centered like relationship or marriage, it is important to meet someone, to love someone, to get married to someone who actually shares that mindset. Okay, so of course, please don't hear me saying if you're in a relationship where you're being mistreated, or you're being used, or you're being abused, or treated impure, like, or I hope that's not. I'm not saying, well, you know what, like that's it, like you just got to keep giving and giving and giving, even if you're being mistreated, or that I'm not obviously not endorsing that, right? Yeah. The goal is that the two people are meant to be giving as much as they possibly can, and you're not always going to give 100%. You're always going to fall short. But I'm not in any way endorsing like a harmful relationship to continue because one person is like, well, I don't have to care about me. I just have to worry about them, even if they're being mistreated. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like that's... I don't know if it's becoming more prevalent, but I'm being made aware of it as I grow older, is how common, unfortunately, it is that marriages are very much like at least one person just like taking all the time. And like I always say, and I'm not saying that my parents' marriage was perfect by any means, but I grew up in a loving household. I was blessed with good parents. And so I wasn't aware that, and I've said this on the podcast, sorry to anyone who's hearing this before, for like probably the fourth time now, but I wasn't aware that's not actually everyone's situation. Like my situation isn't everyone else's. And then as I've grown older, I've come to realize that it's actually not as common as I thought it was. Like like I'm actually privileged to have had that. And other people have grown up in households where either it's not only this case, but I'm learning that a lot of it is either one parent, the mother or the father, is like just obsessed with their own selfish desires. And then everyone else is suffering because of it. And everyone else has to serve them. That's the mentality that they kind of have.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's really like it hits me in a new way because I'm like, how can you kind of be like that? Like, and I like,
it's so jarring because it's so anti-love.
Yeah, it really is. And even before I heard the profound like message of theology of the body and things like that, there was always a sense of to love is to serve, even if it wasn't kind of like conscious, like even if I couldn't put those words sort of together, it was something I kind of knew. I saw it happen, and so for someone
you learnt that in your own home.
Yes, exactly.
Unconsciously,
yeah. That's exactly right. And so to then see that other people are just, they're in a marriage, but then like, I don't know, for me personally, it baffles me even more, though it still baffles me that it happens in marriage alone. Then it baffles me even more that they treat their kids that way. It's like everyone is here to serve me, basically.
Yes.
And because I always hear, like you love your wife differently, but then children are different. You just gain this like protective instinct all of a sudden. Like, people say those things, and I don't understand it yet because I don't have kids yet. But you hear that, and then you hear and see people just doing the complete opposite, and everyone is there for their own service. Like what?
It's big, man.
Yeah, can I? I mean, are you okay to
careful.
talk into that?
Yeah.
Sorry, you don't have to.
No. Yeah, I just think it's like, it's so sad because I've seen it too. I think it stems probably, again, I'm not a psychologist. There could be much more to this at play there, but I think one might, just from my perspective as someone that speaks heaps about relationships and about dating, is most young people, I would say, have a very selfish attitude to love, right? And so and what I mean by that is, I'm single, I'm unhappy being single, and I want to find someone else to make me happy. Which really, or it might not even be that blunt. It could just be, I'll be happy when I meet Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. Like when I find that love. Now, really, the issue with phrasing it that way though is, I'll be happy when I meet someone, is, well, I'll be happy when I meet someone because then they're going to love me, right? Oh. Which really translates to, someone is then going to be like who's going to be looking out for my needs, is going to be looking after me, is going to be caring for me.
Yeah.
And now again, I'm disappointed. I mean, I would love to be able to say that when I was 21 and was, very much eager to get, find someone that I was like, I can't wait to meet someone so I have someone to serve, I wouldn't have said that either. Okay. Yeah. And I probably did. No, I didn't probably. I did also have that, an element of that selfish attitude to, I can't wait to fall in love so I can, receive something. Because obviously, yes, love, there is, and I think, obviously I said love is not give and take, it's 100% give. But yes, it is in giving that we receive. And so when we have an attitude of, I want to fall in love with someone so someone can love me, we're starting off with a very selfish mindset. We're not actually in it as much because we want to give someone the gift of our love and bless them with something that we have. Because ultimately, we're supposed to be so full of God's love that we're overflowing. We're spilling out and over into the person that we love. So God dwelling within us is meant to be pouring out of us into the person we love. If we're not full of God's love, then we're going to be snatching and grasping at the other person to fill us because we feel empty, right? Mm. And so we start dating someone because they're good looking, they make us laugh, they do things for us, right? And then that selfishness doesn't change.
Yikes.
So they get married because, again, if I get married, it's going to be someone caring for me, making me laugh, making me happy. And that's why as well, if you have that selfish attitude in love of like, what am I getting out of this? When the love starts to get less, or the in love feelings weaken, they're a lot more likely to bail because they're like, okay, like there's not what's in it for me now. Like I'm not getting as much out of this. Mm. And so they get married, and then their marriage is then still self-serving. Now again, it's really unfortunate because yes, I do think one of the gifts of children is to help you realize how selfish you actually are.
Wow.
Because like when you have kids, you start realizing, wow, like I thought I was pretty self-giving. Like I thought I was pretty happy to give of myself. And then kids come along and you realize like there is absolutely no break from giving. Wow. Like ever. When they're asleep. A little bit, But even when, like, you as a parent, you never, ever, ever stop for a moment, like, giving. You're always, like, on call, Priests get Monday off. I don't get a day off from being a dad. You know, like I've been working six years straight as a dad, right? Mums even more. Like my wife does not turn off from being mum, and just she's giving all through the night, all through the day. Right. Like it doesn't stop. It's that mums are amazing. In fact, having kids helped me appreciate, like I literally, after like a few weeks of Joseph, when he was a baby, I rang my mum crying, being like, thank you. I was like, you were so good. Thanks so much for wiping my bum and all that stuff.
That's awesome.
It's just another, you cannot, honestly, when I had Joseph, the first thing I thought of, obviously after like, so amazing, what a gift, is I was overwhelmed with gratitude of just what mum and dad did for me. It's unbelievable. But unfortunately, there are parents that never ever get out of that self-centered bubble, and not only is their spouse meant to serve their needs, but they see their children as an extension of them in such an unhealthy way that like even their children are meant to serve them. Their children can't be better than them. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that I don't really want to get into too much, but I think, that's very unfortunate, but it is true. And the children get very damaged from that. When there's parents that see their children as servants to them, rather than seeing them primarily as these beautiful gifts that they're called to pour themselves out into and for in love. But I think it probably does stem from that selfish attitude to dating. So I think that would be the starting point, I would say.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the thing, like love is meant to call you out of that selfishness. Like as I said, at 22, I was not saying I can't wait to meet someone so I can pour myself out as a gift. Like, of course, I think we naturally are excited about what we're going to get. But love is meant to teach you that it's not that. It's about the giving. But if anyone who's unmarried can start listening to this now and can start getting into that mindset, I think you'll be a much better husband or wife and a much better gift to your spouse if you can have that mentality from now.
Amen. It's such a shame that we don't have, like, it's such a shame that this isn't the prominent message, at least in the church. Like, the church obviously has taught this, but it's just unfortunate that within the church today, that message isn't being spread enough. I think that's the best way I can put it. Like, because obviously, you know, in society and things like that, I mean, the church will probably always be countercultural, at least in some regard. Like, I feel like people probably felt like this throughout all of history, but I feel like we're most countercultural now than probably ever before. Like, the church is so, just so different from society in like almost every way. And so even within the church, I feel like it's not spoken about enough and not heard enough from our perspective. And like even learning, I seem to always bring her up, but it's like this whole mindset of, do you know like Pearl Davis? I might have brought it up with you actually last year. I'm not sure.
I've seen a little bit of her, not much. Much.
You're better for it. Yeah, don't worry. You don't need to see much from her to know. But it's like Pearl Davis, and then like what's his name? Is it Neon or no? Not Neon. What's his name? Anyway, all these people. Oh, come on! I don't want to just put it like to Pearl. I want like. It's like these famous YouTuber people. They like, it's not the Whatever podcast, but like he sits and like with like a bunch of girls around the table and they do like this podcast thing, and he's like basically they're just slamming the girls.
Gosh.
Oh, come on. He's that like,
I can try search.
it's like Marlon. No, not Marlon, but anyway, people will know.
Is he a Christian? Is he that Christian? He's not a Christian pastor, is he?
No.
There's one guy I've seen out there. He's pretty firm, even though I think he's Christian.
Ooh.
But I've heard him say some
weird stuff.
Yeah, some rough stuff.
There are a lot of them. I don't know why their names skip.
I don't
me now,
know. Sorry, brother. I'm not sure.
That's all right. But like these anyway. These.
If Sarah doesn't know who you're talking about, I feel better.
Online guys, yeah. Sorry, I'm not describing it well. I think some people listening at least will know who I'm talking about. But it's that type of mentality that people like Pearl Davis or the guy who shall not be named, otherwise our podcast will not go up. We'll be banned from YouTube or whatever. But from Romania. And so who I don't have a problem naming him, but YouTube genuinely will cut this whole episode out. Crazy. If I say the name. So him, and these guys like follow his, at least originally what he was teaching. I don't know where he's at now, but like that mindset of, it's so contradictory. It's weird, but like I bring up Pearl Davis particularly because she's a Catholic.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, but what she says makes me think that she doesn't actually know the Catholic faith very well. But yeah. So anyway, their sort of mindset is like, it's almost like don't get married now because look at all these problems in marriage, and it's like a lot of what that type will say is men don't want to marry anymore because it's a higher risk for them, like possessions and all this stuff. They give up half of their stuff and then the girl will just leave. So like, why should he get married? At the very least, he should sign like a financial prenuptial agreement and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And so like they say all of this stuff and I'm like, maybe some of the diagnosis that you've given to the problems within marriage are right. Like, but your kind of solution for it is way off. Like, it's not just stop getting married. Why don't we try and fix the mindset that's ruining all these marriages? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It's weird, because like people are like, oh, don't get married because you could take half your stuff. It's like, when you get married, they get all of you.
Amen.
It's like, it's like, why are you worried about giving everything and then they get half? Like marriage is like you're all in, man. You're all in.
Yeah.
It is so sad. Yeah.
I just feel like
it's a very sad mindset.
Yeah, I think they're just like, I think we're just at a different. I think we actually spoke about it on the podcast last year. Now thinking about it, I'm not sure. Anyway, but it's like the problem is like over here, and so the solution needs to be before. Like we need to be looking at the solution before the problem even happens. But they're looking at the problem and giving solutions like after, almost like here's the problem. Right. So here's how you don't get to the problem. You just don't get married.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, fix it so that you don't actually get there. Does that make sense? And like, anyway, sorry, I brought that up and said it really poorly to say that sense. Even within the church, we're not hearing this enough. And so even within the church, marriages are still, like there are still way too many failures.
Yeah.
In marriage. Did that kind of make... Sorry, I was hoping to bring that around. Did you find?
I think it's Myron.
The
Fresh and Fit podcast.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know.
This one?
Yeah, the bald guy. Yeah. Him. It's like that sort of mindset, like...
Myron.
Anyway.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah. But does that... I hope... I probably confused everyone with how I was going with that. But like, yeah, it's all to say that we're kind of, even within the church, we need things like what you're saying to be prevalent so that we're not failing so much in marriages and things like that. And so we're not failing ourselves within the marriage, but then also having failed marriages, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like we're not just having bad marriages, we're also having marriages just fall apart completely. And it's too many, I think, even within the church. Because we're just not hearing enough of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Very true, mate. Very true.
It's kind of.
I just, mate, we need a lot, like, we need a lot more discussion about healthy dating and about TOB stuff from very young. Like, I think, like, these should be like standard topics all through high school.
Amen.
And then, you know, like marriage prep. Like, marriage prep should be so in depth. I think it should be so much longer. People are not taught how to discern. Like, how many of us have heard a talk on how to discern the right spouse, or like if we should marry someone, or if we should be dating someone? How many of us have heard a talk on what the purpose of dating even is? Like, I remember I was like, I really want to know what, like, I wish I could hear about it. And I was like, well, I'm going to start writing stuff about it so I could actually give talks about it.
That's awesome.
Because it's like, it's so, like, I think in general, the level of awareness and knowledge about, like, how to make a relationship work, or how to discern marriage, how to have a good marriage, like, it's very challenging. Like, it's very challenging even when you've got, you know, for example, my wife and I are like, we're all in the faith. Like, we're all in. We want a great marriage where we're doing the best we can, and we still get it so wrong, and we still, you know, we make mistakes all the time. It's really hard, and you need a lot of support, you know, and we're praying together every day. We're reading stuff all the time. We're discussing stuff all the time. If you're like, I think, like, marriage, if you don't make it a priority to, like, have a great marriage and work at it every day, it's just way too easy for it to fall apart or be a failure, or for the couple to feel like it's, like, too far gone, and they just start existing in a really tough environment that's like no intimacy, no love is there. But I think, yeah, we need, like, Pope Francis actually said, God rest his soul, Pope Francis actually said, like, marriage prep starts in the womb. He was like, from the moment a person is conceived, they're learning. Like, I'm in mum, you know, mum. They meet dad pretty quick after. They're hearing his voice in the womb. Like, they're learning about family. They're learning about marriage and love. Like, we should be talking about these things with kids from a young age. Talking about love and service and self-gift and all those good things. About loving in a selfless way, and then, as I said, all through high school, we should be hearing stuff about healthy dating and about purity. Marriage prep programs need to be so much better, like, so much better. And then the moment a couple gets married, I would actually say that's when they need the most help. Seriously, like that, because that's when you actually start encountering struggles and problems, and it's like, okay, well, where do we go for help? I feel like too many couples get married and then they, like, never get help again. So it's like, I think, yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, as you know, but, like, I just think it's you need constant support and help.
That'd be really that's comforting for me to hear, and I'm not married yet. And so for any married couples listening, or married people listening, that would be really comforting to hear, because, like, I mean, it's great that people don't, like, air their dirty laundry and things like that. So what you see generally from people you know is, like, they're happy, like, they're 100%. Always happy, you know, couples and stuff. That's a good thing, like, not airing their dirty laundry, obviously. But all you ever see really from other people is happiness, like from married couples or whatever, because they're in public, you know. So it's like kind of a.
Oh, this is a good point.
Oh.
No, please.
No, keep going. I was just gonna say, like, Well, I don't want to go too far from that point.
No. I don't know. I think it's such a valuable point because we see couples that are doing fine, and they get a divorce out of nowhere. So you only see them on their best behavior.
Yes.
And have no idea just how bad things might actually be at home.
Yeah.
Or how distant they might actually be from their spouse until it's too late. I think it's honestly, I think it's an element. There's an element of pride in that. Is that no one, obviously, no married couple wants everyone to know that they're really struggling in their marriage, right? But I think I think there's a temptation just to keep a lid on everything so much, but then if it gets to the point where it's gonna explode 10 years down the track, I think have the humility to acknowledge that you need help. Don't be afraid to even just reaching out to your local parish priest for a start. They've got heaps of wisdom to share, and they would have heard a lot of confessions and people that are married and awesome input. Go and get some counseling together. Don't wait until you're saying to your partner I think I want a divorce to start talking about getting some married couple therapy, right? If you've got struggles and tensions that are causing a problem, go and get help and sort them out. Don't be afraid or think that you can't let anybody know that you're struggling or that you have to do it all by yourself. There's been many different things that in my marriage I've always had a spiritual director. I've run things by him, and he's helped me enormously in my marriage, honestly. So yeah, awesome. Don't just I think it's a big mistake just to hang on to stuff, or worse, to fail to admit there's something that needs to be worked on here. To keep your head in the sand, act like everything's not as bad as it really is. When actually, sometimes I think some couples might just need to say, you know what? We're not in a good place. Let's have a hard conversation about this.
Yeah.
And see what we need to do.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, that's the thing. Even me looking at other couples, other people, is that especially now it's even heightened with social media, because all you see is the best of people on social media. But but even without that, you just see people in public and they all look fine. So then I've been guilty of this, is we look at them and then I'll be like, well, how come they look okay? What's wrong with me? And then I'll be like, well, why are we having this issue? And then I start to think that's not normal, because everything just always seems okay. But it's been so good to hear from people like you that it's not always what it looks like from the outside. There are actually struggles there, and it's normal and it's okay, and you're going to go through them, and it's good to get support, and you should, and things like that.
Yes.
That's powerful stuff. Because then, like I said, it just, you can fall into, and again, I'm guilty of that, of thinking this isn't a normal issue that other people have, so there must be something wrong here. Does that make sense?
Brother, Sarah, you make a reel out of that, please.
It's in here already. I made it on my list.
Brother, seriously, that is so good, what you just said.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
That is so, so good. I think I kind of said something that when I said before about I think we're afraid to admit something might be wrong, but it's sometimes it is because we feel like everyone else looks fine and we don't want to be the only ones that are struggling. Take it from me, someone that sees people's dirty laundry. Or at least hears people talk about their dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Brother, people are carrying enormous challenges in their marriages. Massive. And on the outside, They look like the, awesome Catholic family rocking up to Sunday Mass. Everyone's dressed nice, and no one would have a clue what that, wife just shared with me, or that husband just like I might know what's going on, but no one would ever think of it. And just because of my line of work, like sometimes it's crazy. Like I'll look around, and I'll be like, man, like I know so much about what people have exposed in their private life, like to me. And it's made me realize like we're all bleeding, me included. Again, like and I think we all of us need help in our marriage. I need help in my marriage. Why? Because I'm in it. poor Maddie. Our marriage is struggling because I'm part of it. Amen. But I think, you know what though? Like what you said is so good, brother, because it's like, we're so worried that we're the only people that are battling. And like, I have honestly felt this as well. I'm like, I'm the founder of Fire Up Ministries. I'm supposed to have this all sorted out. Like people are looking to me to be an example. Like I'm supposed to have it all together. That's such a lie. Like, I don't have it all together. My marriage is not perfect. It's not horrible. Please don't. But we're both weak, and we hurt each other. We get it wrong. I don't parent perfectly every time. There's so much I think it's important to know everybody is struggling. And sometimes the most harmful marriages are the ones where they don't think there's a problem. Right? So it's like, oh, everything's fine. But they're not aware of the pain their wife is actually in. Or they're not aware of the pain their husband's in. They think everything's fine. But that's precisely why it's not fine. Because the first step to fixing a problem is to acknowledge the problem. So if you won't even acknowledge there's a problem, that's a whole step first that has to happen before that it can even be solved. If you're aware that there is things in my relationship that need work, praise God. It just means that you're aware of the fact that you're imperfect and you need God's grace to improve.
Wow.
But everyone needs support, and we should never I've told people, I've been to counselling. Madeline's been to counselling. Before and after our marriage. So helpful. I think we have there's a bit of a stigma, you got to be really messed up to go to counselling. Guess what? You are. We all need it.
So
No one is so put together that they never need advice or support. We desperately need to have that humility to reach out for help. We don't have to, and I would say it's something be sensible with who you might share what you're struggling with. You don't want to share it with everybody, and you don't want to get everyone's input. But share what you're going through with a few people who are prayerful. So one of my golden rules, I never take advice from people that don't pray every day. Because all I'm going to get is what they think, not what God is saying through them.
Oof.
I don't really care what you as an individual think if you don't pray, right? So it's how do I know to take on that advice if it's just what someone thinks, right? So I like to know this person's a person of prayer, and they're invested in what I'm saying, and they're actually going to pray about what I'm struggling with, and what I'm going to get from them is not just what they think, but what they're hearing in prayer. And even that, I would still say you don't want to have too many people speaking into your life at once. But everyone should have some kind of a support network.
Amen.
I could keep going, mate. Sorry, that's enough.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. So that's so it's powerful to hear, because this whole thing has been amazing, because it's really speaking into the reality of life as a married couple, but just as people. It's not just this this ideal thing that we're talking about, and like it's great to strive for the ideal, obviously, and it's nice to hear that so that we know what we're striving for, but it's also nice to just hear about what's real, because we're going to experience things and not know. Like it's nice to know that those experiences are real and they're normal, and it's also powerful to hear that we're not just, because we went from speaking about joy and the like, you know, to to now like speaking about the struggles, which is, I think, a beautiful way to bring everything together that we've spoken about, at least on marriage itself. Is like, it's not just putting on rose-colored glasses. That's not the joy that we're talking about. Is just ignore all the problems and be happy. It's to actually be joyful through those through those struggles and things like that. So I'll ask kind of I think I may have asked you a similar question again on the previous podcast, but I'm aware that some people hear this message and aren't aware of how it actually relates to our relationship with God. So, and I learned that from a teen at St. Felix who asked that question when, I think it was one of the search episodes that we watched with Chris Stefanik. And and I was asked, well, what does this have to do with God? And because he was getting into who you are, like who are you and all this stuff. Right. And he was talking a little bit about like, not sexuality necessarily, but like about your body and things like that. And he was like, okay, but like, it's nice to know that, but what does that have to do with God? And so I was like, that's a really good question, actually, because I didn't know how to answer it at first. I had to actually go home and think about it and like do a bit more research and things like that. So I guess my question to you would be that same question: is all of this about marriage and giving of yourself to your spouse, and how to live out a joyful marriage even through the struggles and things like that. What does that have to do with ultimately our relationship with God and our salvation in the end? Sorry to throw that out.
I'll probably have to go home and pray on that too, mate.
Yeah, sorry I just threw that out of nowhere, but
no, it's good. It's funny, mate. I say to people, if you want to learn your faith, go and do teens ministry. Seriously. Yes. Better than 4 years doing at uni, studying the faith, was my time at Our Lady of Lebanon, Harris Park, doing teens ministry for 2 years. I learnt more of my faith in those years than studying. The kids ask you the best questions. Yeah. Seriously, they challenge me a lot.
They do.
I think what does it have to do with God? I think first, I mean, St. Paul says, right, in Ephesians 5, so like the main verses would be verse 21 to 33. That's really where you get the best picture of St. Paul talks about, he says, like, marriage, right? The relationship between husband and wife is a sacrament, right? Is a tangible sign that reveals a reality that is invisible, which is the union that we're all called to have with Christ, our bridegroom, with the church, right? So as a husband, I'm meant to image Christ, the bridegroom, and my wife or wives are called to image the church, which is the bride of Christ. However, in our relationship, so male and female, though, we male and female form the bride of Christ, the church. So in the resurrection, right? Male and female form the bride of Christ and will be united to Christ, our bridegroom. How will that actually look? Don't ask me. I don't know what that'll look like. It'll be awesome, but I don't know how to explain all that, what that'll look like. But so I think, look, that has been a really a helpful thing for me. Has been, okay, I am called to love my wife Madeline the same in the same manner in which Christ the bridegroom loves me, right? So sometimes people have said to me, why do you go to mass every day? Like, I go to mass every day. And I think you do too, don't you? Most days. God bless you.
Yeah,
I won't ask that question.
I'll try.
Rewind that.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So I thought you told me a while ago that you did. Anyway, sorry.
I was, yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Different work schedules and things like that.
That's his little nudge to get
It is actually a good nudge. Thank you.
But it's good. I've often thought, you know what? Like, I need to go to mass every day, because on that altar every day, I hear those magic words, which is basically the husband formula. This is my body, which is given for you. This is my blood, which is poured out for you. So that's Luke chapter 19, verse 22. Right, this is my body given for you, and that's the I've got that inscribed on my wedding ring. Right, this is my body given for you. And so I was like, you know what? That's a really good mentality to have. I think as a husband is every morning I go to mass and I'm like, right, this is the way the bridegroom loves his bride. He gives his body for his bride. This is how I have to love my wife, lay my life down for her. So I think that's awesome, right? Is that we're especially for husbands, in the mass, it's great. For the wives, of course, like knowing that they're not only are they called to receive Christ the bridegroom, but they're called to receive their husband in the same way. But ultimately, like, what does all this have to do with God, right? Is that marriage is a calling, it's a vocation we've been given to make us saints. Like, the way that we live every day in our marriage is meant to sanctify us, so make us holy. And so, like, that's why this matters, man. Like, every single day, as a husband, as a father, as a wife, as a mother, every single minute of that day that you're caring for your family, that you're loving your wife or you're loving your husband, you're looking after your children, that is an act of worship to God. It's a prayer. It's an opportunity to grow in holiness. So ultimately, everything I do in my marriage has to do with God, because it's going to make me the saint I need to be in order to enjoy Him forever in heaven.
Amen.
That's it,
wow.
man. It's got to go all in.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I'll jump over to the parenting side, because, like I mentioned earlier, I was out with a few mates, and we were all just talking about how, I don't know how we got onto it, to be honest, but we were kind of worried about when we became parents. We all started freaking out a little bit. And we were saying, how do we as parents, like, please God, when we become parents, how can we stop our children from, like, there are things that we understand that, like, you just need to let sometimes your kids, like, kind of learn their lesson. But there are some things that you'd rather them not experience to have to learn, that it's bad, I guess, if that makes sense. And so one of the things we were talking about is porn. And we were like, how do we get our kids to never even have to be exposed to porn to know that it's wrong? Because it really ruins lives. Like, it's terrible, it's filthy, it's so bad. And so that's one of the things where, at least myself, it's one of the things I don't want my kids to ever have, like, to ever be exposed to. Like, it's just, I would want them to know that it's wrong, and to just not have to experience it to know that. And so we were just like, how do you do it? And then, do you, like, what are ways that you can do that without sparking, like, unnecessary curiosity that then leads them to do it and things like that. So, like, we were going around in circles And so
good.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Great conversation.
It was actually.
It's a big topic.
Yeah. Do you? I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Sorry again to put you on the spot, but would you have any? Actually, can I start by asking? You kind of touched on it earlier, so I'll start by asking this: when is too early to speak about these things?
Now, this is a tough. It's a really difficult question, I think, because it's certainly no expert here, but I know just from now the average age that kids are being exposed to porn is getting lower and lower and lower, and so I feel like we almost have to start addressing this stuff sooner than we'd like to, just because they are stumbling across it more and more. Now, one thing I think parents could be like more vigilant with would be to be installing some kind of internet filtering system on their laptops and screens at home, because sometimes they see it at school or they get, stuff. You can't completely stop it. However, I'll never forget this one mum that was at a talk I gave once, and she goes, yeah. So I was talking about how, porn exposure is getting younger and younger. And I said that the average age of first viewing now is like 8 or 9 years old. Now, I have coached, I think, I remember last time I was on the podcast, I was very heavily into like porn coaching. I was like working one-on-one with people. I'm not really doing that as much anymore. But pretty much everyone, I worked with about 400 people. Wow. Pretty much everyone I spoke to, their first exposure was somewhere between the age of 4 and 13.
What?
Yeah.
4?
So the youngest I heard was 4. But there were like surprisingly a larger number than I would have expected that were like under 8. And so for a lot of them, it was either just like, for many of them, it was just like being allowed to have free reign on the internet, right? So with an iPad, so like we know, right? Like things just pop up if you've got no filtering, like ads. There's like sidebars, like ads on the sidebars of screens that are going to be quick sex in your area, or women that want to, sorry if this is a bit blunt, but those, all you got to do is jump on one of those sites, and it's gonna take you down a rabbit hole of porn that is, and once kids are seeing that stuff, they're too young to process it. They don't completely know it's wrong. Like they know they shouldn't be looking at it somehow, but not enough for them to like not look at it again.
Yeah.
So like I think one thing that really needs to happen is parents should have filtering systems on every device in their home. We should not be giving kids iPhones to just play around with. They shouldn't have like if you have a subscription to Netflix and even Disney Plus, and there's LGBTQ movies on that. There's documentaries. I haven't watched any of them, but they don't look good.
Yeah.
They don't look good.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I made a decision, like we're just going to can those subscriptions. Like we don't need, once we saw that Joseph had learnt how to put the TV on and then start scrolling through, and I was like, nah, done. Like we can't, like I can't risk that.
Yeah.
I don't want that stuff. I don't want him being able to find stuff. So I think in the first thing I would say is we do kind of live in an age now where the emphasis, and now Matt Fradd has said this, not me, and he was kind of leading the way for talking about pornography between like 2010 and 2020. He was like 10 years of like almost solely talking about pornography before Pints with Aquinas blew up. He said our focus needs to be not how do I stop my child ever viewing or seeing or stumbling across that content, but how am I going to foster a relationship with them and have an awareness around when they do encounter that they would tell me so we can deal with it properly.
Yes.
Right? That's not to say that we shouldn't care about ensuring we do minimize the opportunity they're going to have to see it the first time, especially in your own home. So I would say first up should be sensible and put filtering on everything that you have. Secondly, I know this might sound a bit extreme, but like, think about where you're letting your kids go on play dates and stuff. The amount of people that I coached that said to me the first time they watched porn was at their uncle's house with their cousin, or a friend's place whose parents had porn DVDs and they'd put them on when they would when they went over for a play date and stuff. You know, it's like, of course, you know, you can't, you know, it's hard to screen everyone completely, but it's easier to say this when you're a dad. Like, my kids are not going to go and play at someone's house without me there if I don't know that they're a decent, like, family who are going to be, who are also going to have the same values as me and are not going to be having that stuff lying around the house. Yeah. Right?
Awesome.
So I think as well, we need now, you know, we've got to protect our own home. Be very careful where your children are going. That would extend as well to, you know, have you checked the kind of books they might be being read at preschool, at primary school? Some of the books that, you know, are in preschools that they're being read, you know, so-and-so's two dads, and all, like, it's all this stuff, like it's getting in too young, like way too young. So like, we as parents, you got to be onto this stuff. Then I would say though, so after that, right, just like the basic, be sensible with what your kids are being exposed to. There is a book called Good Pictures and Bad Pictures, and it was a book written for kids aged between the age of 5 and 8, which basically tells them what a good picture is versus a bad picture. Again, the body is good. God created the naked body good. Okay, so porn is not bad because there's disgusting human bodies on there. Okay, I mean, and so it's wrong because it's the distortion of the beauty of the body and of sex, and being exposed in a way that is intended to incite lust in the viewer, not love in you know. So good pictures, bad pictures is something that a parent could read to their child from the age of 5 and 8 and discuss that the body is good, and a good picture of the body or a good image of the body is one where they're modest and they're clothed, and clothed not because the body is dirty and it needs to be covered, but because it is sacred and we protect what is sacred. So Jesus is always covered in every tabernacle, which is the Holy of Holies, right? We veil Christ in there because he's so holy and so sacred. We only expose him when there's someone ready there to adore him on their knees. Amen. And I've often used this as a bit of it's like a nice way to explain it, I think, is a person is so beautiful and the body of a person is so beautiful that we only unveil the nakedness of that person when they're in the presence of their spouse who knows how to love them at the highest level. Amen. He doesn't view their nakedness as a way to lust after them, but as an opportunity to as a way to love them and to be a gift of self. And so then it talks about a good picture of the body versus a bad picture of the body would be one where their nakedness is exposed and we're not protecting the sacredness of that body. And the book encourages the child that if they do see a bad picture, right, to come and tell their parent. And I love that because then it actually, what it does is that, so what it does is that it's going to minimize the possibility of a child seeing porn for the first time and then being stuck in the shame cycle and continuing to look at it privately without ever telling anybody. So when they tell mum and dad can find out where they found it, do what's necessary to block that happening again. But then it's meant to foster healthy conversation between the parent and the child about the goodness of the body, the sacredness of the body. And then as they grow up, those conversations can gradually get more detailed and more detailed. That's the part where I want to be careful not to pretend I know exactly, what needs to be unveiled next. My oldest is 5. So I haven't had, in detail conversations in depth about this stuff yet.
Yeah.
However, I have spoken a lot with all of my kids about the sacredness of the body, about the beauty of the body, about being made in the image of God, which is why we love and serve each other and treat each other well. I've spoken about, we've talked about the need to be selfless, to be a gift of self. So sometimes I'll say to my kids, how were you a gift to mum today? So what I'm doing is I'm trying to build a foundation in my kids of my body was made to be a gift.
Wow.
Right? Now, I'm not talking about sexuality as such yet, but I'm hopefully laying a foundation of my body has been designed to love others and to be a gift to others, to be kind to others, to be respectful to other people. And then as they grow older and I can be more detailed, my goal is that when I can actually start talking about what sex is in the details that are necessary, it's going to land on a platform of self-giving love. And so it should be just like a natural building block.
Yeah.
My body, I've known from the time I was 2 that my body was made to be a gift. And now sex is something I can express with my body, and there's a proper context in which to do that. And it's not selfish at all. I'm meant to use this gift to love others. And so that is my goal. Ask me in 20 years if it worked. I don't know. But that's something I think it could be a helpful start.
That's a beautiful thing, because like I was talking about before when I was saying, I just it wasn't really a conscious thought as much as I just kind of knew that to love was to serve. It's that same sort of concept. Is it's not that you need to know the whole sexuality part in detail yet. It's that you just have this foundation thing, that's extremely powerful. And that's beautiful to hear, like an example of how to do that and things like that. So that's awesome. And I mean, you really spoke into something else that we were kind of talking about as well, which was the idea if they do end up seeing porn in whatever form, then you want them to be comfortable enough to come and talk to you. And so we were like, well, how do you do that then? Because you want to find a balance between like discipline, like being able to discipline your child.
Yeah.
But then also having them be comfortable enough to come and talk to you about these things. Because like you hide things from your parents out of fear of punishment. So then how do you keep that balance of like disciplining, but also making sure that they feel welcome to come and talk to you about those things? You know what I mean? Like that. So we were driving ourselves crazy with this, with this conversation. But one thing I heard, so my sister told me this. I think we were talking about this, to be honest. And she said it might be her brother-in-law or something like that, who every night he'll come home from work and they have, I believe, 8 kids, God bless him. And he'll spend anywhere between like 5 to 20 minutes, you know, or however long it takes, with each kid. He'll just pull them aside and he'll just talk to them about their day, how their day was, if they're at school, you know, what they learned at school, all this stuff. Every day. With all 8 of his kids, he'll just pull them to the side and have a chat with the hope that... well,
sorry, that was more of an
I don't know if,
of like,
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I would say his name, but I could be wrong about who it is, so I'll hold off for now. But but I'm pretty sure it's who I'm thinking. But he does that with the hope that they feel comfortable enough to just tell him everything, you know, like to tell him things, and they love it. Like apparently they just look forward to it every day. Like it's a beautiful thing, yeah. But at the same time,
inspired me.
Yes, I know, it's just beautiful. But at the same time, and this is why I brought up the whole like balance of discipline and everything. From my sister's experience, she'll say this. It's like she's told me this, is that that like at just the sound of his voice, they know exactly what to do and they follow. Like he is like, you know what I mean? Like, and you see it when you like. When we have family events with them and stuff, they're also respectful. Each kid will come up one by one and they'll say hello and they'll like high five and give you a hug and all that stuff. Like it's awesome. And then apparently, like as soon as he says like go to bed, everyone just drops what they're doing and goes. You know what I mean? Like there's a, and so I'm pretty sure we were talking about this, and that's why my sister brought it up. Is there was that balance and that was like so awesome to hear. Is like he's got this, you know, that it's like almost like army camp style, which doesn't need to be the case, but it's for me it sounds awesome. Yeah. But then he makes sure to take time every day, just however long, to just have a chat and say, how was your day, whatever, tell me about your day, how was school, all of this stuff. And I don't know. I think that'd be helpful.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
There was this US, who was he? A speaker. No, he's from the government. Mike Johnson? Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. I don't know if you ever saw it online. There was this whole blow up about this talk that he did. Like he spoke in front of a crowd and he said that him and his son have their accountability partners for porn. His son's like older now, but apparently it's been like they've been doing it for ages, and they have this thing in their computers installed called like Guardian Eyes, or like they can see each other's porn access. They don't watch porn and they never have, and I think it's because of this. But like they openly speak about it, like father and son, and they have that accountability checker, and everyone blew up being like, "Oh, you and your son watch porn together." Everyone like took it out of so much context. But like he stood his ground. He was like,
of course they know. It was a beautiful moment.
He was like, he was so good. He was just like, I'm just like open with my son. Like that's it. That's all there is to it.
Good on him.
Yeah.
So good.
How good is that?
Even Deacon Harold spoke about that. I remember at his.
Did he?
He did a talk on fatherhood. I think you were there. I think he asked you a question in the talk.
Did he? Okay.
But I didn't know you at that point. But he, I believe, this is going to sound really creepy that I remember this, but but I believe it was when you had, I think it was when Maddie was pregnant with Joseph.
Oh, okay.
And so he did this talk on fatherhood, and he asked you a question of something like, how did you find out about your fatherhood? Or something, and you said through Maddie.
Oh, right.
Or something like that.
Oh,
anyway.
that was at our fundraiser dinner.
Oh, was it?
No, Joseph was just born. Yeah, maybe it was then.
I don't know.
He was our speaker at the 2019 dinner. Joseph was just born.
2019. Maybe it was.
Mm.
Anyway, it was something. But he said in his fatherhood, it was in that talk that I heard him say that he takes his daughters on dates.
Yep.
And like he dresses well, he gets them to dress up, he takes them, he opens the door for them, he like pulls the seat out for them and things so that they know what to look for in their future husband. They don't settle for anything less than what he's taught them to look for in a man. And then he goes to dinner with his son, and as the years have progressed, they'll talk about like tougher topics and stuff, and they'll go,
so good.
yeah, like things like that are great to hear. But I'll be honest, even in hearing all of this stuff, I still panic. Because I just, that's one of the things that I'm like, ideally, I don't want my child ever being exposed to it, because there's nothing good that can come from it. Like, from it itself, from overcoming it, obviously there's good from that. But from porn itself, there's nothing good to come from it. So I wouldn't want them ever exposed. But realistically, like you said, we can't control it completely. I remember kids at school, in high school, used to always try and show me stuff, you know, and then I would be made fun of. Like
because you wouldn't want to look. Yeah,
I would turn away, you know, and like I'm not saying that as like school was pretty easy for me. I didn't go through any tough times or anything, so I don't want to sound like I'm like almost victimizing myself or whatever. I have had a blessed life, thank God, a very privileged life. But that was one of the things where in that moment people would be like, they'd look at me like I was an outsider, like I was weird. It's not weird. I went on this rant. I went on a rant last week on the podcast we had last week about us as people who believe in God. We're looked at as if we're the weirdos now. Like as if like we're people who just came up with this idea of God and we're just running with it. And so I went on this whole rant of like, since the beginning of human history, we've known God to exist, to be real and whatever. So, but now we're believing the lies, like the atheistic lie that we're the out of place people for believing in God. And so I think it's time that we stop feeling as if we're out of place. Society can try and tell us that as much as they want, but it's not true. And we need to really believe that now and act as if it's true, that that we're not weird for that. And it's the same thing with porn. Like I know that I felt weird for not having watched it in that time. Like when people were showing me and things like that, and I would turn away. I felt weird in those moments. But then I've come to realize now that no, it's actually not normal that you watch porn. Like it's not. And so I personally just, I don't know, I kind of want to put that out there. If anyone's listening and you feel like you're an outcast or something, you shouldn't. You're normal.
Amen.
That's a normal thing, not having watched porn, and it's a good thing.
It's normal to look at people with love. It's not normal to and I speak from, sadly, experience of doing a lot of the wrong viewing.
Me too.
Life as a porn addict was so much harder and worse. It is the worst thing. If porn is regularly in your life, it is the worst thing. Yeah, it's so normal to not look at it. As you said so beautifully before. It is so normal to not look at it. Like it is a beautiful life. And really it's like your like the scales really do fall from your eyes, and you realize how beautiful, just speaking from the male perspective here for a moment, but like as a porn user, like you really don't see the true beauty of a woman. It is such a counterfeit view and vision of a woman, being free from those porn goggles or that porn lens. You actually are truly free to see the woman as a person. They're so much more beautiful when you see them as people, not as objects. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I know it's a really tough one. I think we need to do all we can to try not to protect our children from viewing this content, but at the same time, to not if they do, we do need to have a strategy for how we're going to deal with it. And I think this dad, this hero, for me now, who is doing that every day with his children, I think he's doing exactly what is like that's what is necessary. Because if you like a child, so I've sat with teenagers who are battling with pornography, and for many of them, I am the only person they've ever told. They have not brought it to confession. I encourage them to bring it to confession, obviously, but like for a lot of people, they're like, oh, I wouldn't tell anybody this. And so, unfortunately, like I remember, I think I was coming back from Perth. I was on a plane coming home from Perth, just spoken at a youth conference, and you know, I'm like, you know, on the way home, I'm always like rethinking all the conversations I had with people, and I was just like, I may never see those kids again. Like I might never ever get to talk to them. I'm the only random guy who's like flying back to Sydney now, who they've told, who's actually going to help them on the ground, who's going to journey with them with that cross that they're carrying. They need people, like we all need people on the ground who can actually, we can talk to and open up to about our struggles. And so this father who is forming a relationship with his kids about things, I mean, what happened at school today? Like, don't hear me wrong. I think this guy's a hero. But like, he's bonding over stuff that may not actually be that important. Just, how was your day? What's homework like, you know? But what he's doing is he's showing his kids, I care about the little things. Like, I care about all the small stuff. I care if someone, you know, did this to you or said that to you. I care if you had a good day, if you had a bad day. And because he's like building that kind of trust and a strong relationship, like I can open up to Dad about anything, right? It's like Jesus says, you know, before, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher the verse exactly, but it's like, you know, like if there's a verse something along the lines of like if before he can trust us with big things, we've got to be able to be trusted with little things.
Yeah.
And so it's like he's building the trust with the little stuff. So when it actually does come time that, hey, you know, my 12-year-old son saw porn for the first time, or my 6-year-old daughter saw it for the first time, that's going to pop up as something that featured in her day because I tell Dad everything.
Yes.
Or I tell Dad everything, right? That is the best thing. One of the reasons why kids don't talk to their parents about something like pornography is because their dad doesn't even care how their soccer game was. So if you don't care about how soccer's going, if you don't care how school's going, if you don't care how whatever else is going, why am I going to open up about something that I feel a bit ashamed about? It just doesn't make sense,
so
right?
True, yeah.
So yeah, if you can build again, this dad's inspired me to do this, but I do think that's a big solution to this problem.
Wow.
That Bible
That's
verse was Luke 16:10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much.
Wow.
Awesome. There you go.
That is so good. That is, I think,
Luke 16:10.
Yeah.
That'll be my Bible verse for.
Oh, I love it.
Nice.
Okay. Well, that's a beautiful way to wrap up. I'm cautious of time. Pretty good with it. I'm not usually good with time. But
I'm not either.
we'll wrap up here if that's okay with you. Was there anything else you wanted to add? Did I miss out on anything that you wanted to say or anything like that before we?
Not really, mate. I think that was fun. I had fun.
Awesome.
Thanks. Thank you for having me on the show, mate. Spiritual son.
Thank you. Thanks so much for coming on. Again, I'm so honored that you came on. And for anyone listening, if anyone has, I will always say this whenever I'm around Simon and I have the opportunity to. And you've come up a lot in previous episodes, so thank you.
Oh, cool.
But if anyone is listening who has any kind of ability in their parish, in their school, wherever, to
thank you.
to get a speaker to come, and even if it's a course, if it's just one talk, if it's whatever it is, please reach out to Simon, because as you've probably heard through this episode, this isn't said enough. What this message is like new to most people, and it needs to be heard. It really does, even from the youngest age to older people now. We haven't heard that message, so please do reach out to Simon. We'll include the all the socials and stuff below, or in the description, I think is where they'll go, and things like that. Fire Up Ministries. That was a bit of a poor end to that to that plug. Sorry, but yeah, please do reach out.
Can I add one thing to
please.
this? So last September, I had a powerful experience in prayer. I won't go into it all, but all I'm going to say is I had a powerful encounter with Mary, and she made it very clear through some prayer that lasted a while, that there were two big changes that she wanted to be made with Fire Up Ministries. Now, for many of you that would have, if people have known or heard of me and our work, you would know that Fire Up is pretty much for the last 7 years. We've spoken about chastity, about dating, about sexuality. The first big change that I felt Our Lady was inviting me to make was that although everything to do with sexuality and dating is still my heart, man, like I love it to death, and it's always going to be my main thing. We felt the call to open up our topics, and so I just taught a 4-week course on why Catholics pray to saints. I'm writing one at the moment on the Eucharist and the Mass, which we're going to run at the Don Bosco Centre, which is like 5 minutes from here.
Ooh.
In September. That's going to be coming out soon.
Beautiful.
And I'm literally just going to be like working through the faith, like making more courses. And so just the first thing I wanted to say is that I'm not just the chastity speaker anymore, ideally. So if anyone's keen on other topics as well, would love to consider, speak. I'm still new to speaking about stuff outside of that topic. So in humility, I will admit if I'm not ready to do a topic that people want, and I do promise to be honest about that. The second change that I am really trying to get the word out about this as much as I can is that the second change I really felt Our Lady called us to make was we are now by donation. I don't know if you've heard of it. Have you heard this yet? Have you heard me share this yet?
I don't know.
So
Sorry.
since December 2024, we now do not sell anything. We live 100% on providence. So that means we don't charge set speaking fees for anything that we do. So we did have a bit of a reputation for being a bit expensive, and to be honest, I'm embarrassed of that, and I'm a bit like that. That's a hard thing to accept, but I know that over the last few years, and I'm trying to undo this because I realised that there was some damage done here. There were a lot of parishes that wanted to bring us in, but the money was an obstacle. And I was nervous about trying to raise a family and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm not happy about about that direction we took. We started to get too concerned about the financial side of it, and so to ensure that I never get caught up with that again, and I'm trusting that God will give us whatever we need, we're now by donation, which means we will go anywhere for a donation. We don't have set fees anymore.
Wow.
We don't even sell the resources on our table. They're by donation as well. So literally we live on providence. When so I don't have $1 more or less than exactly what I'm given right now.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it has been so like money has always been a source of anxiety for me because I'm like trying to raise a family,
of course, yeah,
while I'm doing this work, and unfortunately, God doesn't move in anxiety. And so the anxiety did lead me to make some bad decisions there. And I've gone to confession for all those. But I am trying, and if you could help get the word out as well, sure. we have I have confessed that, and we've had to repent of that, and to ensure we never go down that road again, we're by donation. So there is no financial obstacle to having us come in. So sometimes people have been saying all year, if people like reach out, they're like, oh, like, how much do you want to get paid for that talk or whatever? We just say, we realize that sometimes it's helpful for people to say, look, like, this donation amount would be amazing. Like that would be awesome. Because sometimes people do like a figure. So they have something to work with.
Yeah.
But even that, what we're suggesting as a donation is like half what we were used to charge. Like it's a lot less. And then if they can't meet that and they can donate less, we take that.
Wow.
If people, and I've done a lot of free talks this year, if people honestly have no budget, I'll do it for free. So that's our promise.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah. God bless you.
Any group that want us, money is no longer an issue. All you need is the tick from your priest and we'll come. If they can't give a donation, free.
That's awesome. Like, God bless you. Like that is...
Yeah.
That's an incredible thing to do. And that would be huge. What I'll do, because I'm cautious of time, I'll give you the canvas and then I'll also speak to you at the same time. Is that all right?
Great. Yeah. Awesome.
So you can sign and I'll still have a chat just so we save a bit of time. Efficiency is all. There you go. I'll bring the canvas to you just to make it easier. Okay.
And I do want to thank you, brother, because you have been a great support for our work as well. Oh. Wow.
I mean, you've helped me enormously, so it's the least I could do. But what I will say is, like you said, it's your full-time ministry, and you are trying to, like, you're raising a family. You're building a family and you're raising your children. So, I mean, I'm no.
Sorry, Luke 16:10.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm no, like expert or anything like that, but I mean, I don't think it's something that you should be embarrassed about. You've obviously like prayed about it and things, but I just think it makes sense, like it's completely
like it was your livelihood.
It still is, livelihood,
but
But
everyone I haven't shared this change with too many people, but like every time I've shared it, people have been so encouraging. But I've always just said, look, when God convicts you of something as clearly as he did this, trust me when I say I know what was wrong.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
I'll stop talking.
We'll leave it with God.
And I'm like, it's like everyone has been so encouraged. Everyone's been like, mate, like, we get it. Like you were trying and all this, and I'm like, yep, I appreciate that. But like that moment in prayer was like literally, so I was at a Holy Spirit conference, and the speaker quoted, I think it's Matthew 6 verse, what is it? Matthew chapter 6 somewhere, when he goes, you can't serve God and money.
Ah, yes.
And it was freaky. Like I've never actually had this happen to me before, with anything. But the instant he quoted the verse, it's like I was given a grace that was absolutely impossible for me to create this myself. I was given a grace to see that my relationship to money was sinful. I don't know. I can't explain it other than just being like, I know I was convicted. I know it sounds dirty, but like I was convicted of greed, and I was like, wow. And like no one will know, no one really knows that, or what I'm trying to say is whether that was obvious to other people or not doesn't really matter. Like I know that. And I was like, wow. And mate, I took 3 months off last year. Like no one knows that. October to December, I didn't speak at all. And I went to Mount Shunstadt, the shrine in Mulgoa. I was there pretty much every day for like a few hours most days. Just like, I had to there was a lot of furniture that had to be shifted. Wow. But the blessing has been, I've not had this much fun in ministry since I started 13 years ago. I've never felt more peace in doing it. Never enjoyed it this much. Never felt freer to serve. It's been amazing.
Wow.
So I'm so grateful that God was like, yeah, mate, stop. It was beautiful. But yeah, I really do think it was Our Lady. Because also what was weird, what came with that experience was a love for the rosary I've never had. I can't stop praying it. I just can't stop. Like, I love it. Wow. And I'm still on a honeymoon from that. It's like that happened September last year. And it's just, my life is different.
Thanks be to God.
Yeah. Anyway, all that to say that I'm trying to get that out there, that people, awesome. I don't want that reputation to still exist. Money's no longer a problem.
Awesome. Well then, all I will say is thanks be to God.
Yeah.
And once again, please reach out to Simon. There you
Thank
go.
You.
You all know it now. Now, you've written that Luke 16:10. That was the little things one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just thought that was nice. But our fire up verse is Luke 12:49, which I might add that as well at the end. But Luke 12:49 is when Jesus says, "I have come to bring fire to the earth," and how I wish it was already like set afire. And so that's really the mission of Fire Up, mate. We just want to start dropping some flamethrowers on people. Just every day is meant to be like a. Our goal is for every talk, everything we do to be like a mini Pentecost for the church and just set people on fire. Awesome. And you said it as well, like to not be embarrassed or ashamed, or like being Catholic is as normal as you can be.
Amen.
There's nothing more normal than worshiping God.
Yes. Amen.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, do you mind if I ask you one last really quick question?
That's it, mate.
It's one that I'm asking all my guests.
Oh, yeah.
That I forgot for like 90% of the year so far. But I've remembered the past few, which is good. So, basically, you're on death row, right? And so, you get to now choose your final meal. Are you aware of like death row final meals and stuff? So
I've heard of this before.
I mean, there are different rules in different countries, right? As far as I understand. But here on Against the Grain, there are no rules. Absolutely no rules. No cost limits, no nothing. Okay. When you're on death row, you get one last meal and you choose whatever you want. Like, I mean, whatever you want.
And how much you want of it. Like,
yes. Wow. How much of it, from where. You can even have it homemade. No limits on what the chefs can cook and all that stuff. On Against the Grain, there are 0 limits. So, for your final meal, what would you have?
Final meal. It'd have to be the bread of life, mate.
Oh, that's who said that as well?
Michael said that too.
All right, like we
that
did
is
it.
That's my like holy answer.
The Eucharist, you can receive the Eucharist before you get executed.
Yeah.
But a couple of hours before.
So the meal that I would have an hour before the Eucharist, which then I would die.
Nice.
Geez, that's a tough one.
By the way, can I say, you're a daily mass goer, which makes your answer so real and valid.
Yeah.
That we love it, but we just want to know what food you like. Other than
yeah, the real answer. Mate, you know what? I'd probably have to say like a meat lover's pizza, like a real meaty. Yeah, pizza makes me like tired. Like, so I don't generally eat it, but if I was going to die 2 hours later, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter. I like it.
So I'd just, yeah, I'd like
love that.
peacefully go off to a sleep death after. I love pizza. Yeah, I love it.
that.
Love it.
So
I'd
nice
have
meatloaves.
that. Yeah.
What about
Do
a
you
drink?
want drink, yeah, dessert, anything?
A drink, Sprite.
Nice.
A nice, yeah.
I
A
don't know
bubbly.
anyone that likes Sprite.
Sorry?
I don't know anyone that drinks Sprite for fun.
I love Sprite.
What do you mean?
Really?
What?
Sprite, the drink Sprite for fun. I don't know, yeah. I used to have this thing with my brothers and a few of my mates back in the day, you know, when I was single and, you know. Whereas if you ever needed, so like Coke is like the obvious go-to wherever you get a Macca's or whatever.
Yeah.
But the signal that my brothers and I, or if we were my brothers and I, or my closest mates at the time, if one of us ordered a Sprite, it was a sign that we needed a big conversation. Yeah, it was like a little code that like someone was in need of like a, yeah. So it became a thing where we'd be like, oh, like what do you want? You know, like we at Macca's and like you know when I was back at at the Maronite church.
Yeah.
It was always like one person would shout everyone, whether there was like 10 people or 2.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like we all rotated being broke, you know, for that month. You know, one night a month, you know. So, but I actually loved that culture. Like we'd always like someone would shout that meal, and then you'd get the next 9 free, whatever, you know. Anyway, but the night that you paid, it was a big hit. But like I used to say like, what do you want? And you know, if someone was like, oh, Sprite, I'd be like, oh, okay. And then we'd all get a Sprite in their honor, and we'd sit down to a Sprite, and we'd have a great conversation. And we ended up it ended up because we were like, the conversations were so good. We ended up Sprite became the norm.
You conditioned yourself.
So we just started to always get Sprite, and every time we'd hang out, which was literally like 6 nights a week. At that time, was just like it was the symbol of a big conversation. So like
so
yeah, so Sprite for me is still to this day. Yeah, I'll do it with my brothers or
I love that.
Wow.
my mates if we catch up. So it happens a lot less, but
That's so
and my
good.
wife does not like Coke. And I remember the first time we went out, I was like, "What do you want?" She was like, "Sprite." I was like, "How does she know?" I was like,
That's a sign.
How does she know? How does she know the code? Like she wants a big anyway. Turns out she does not like Coke, and she gets Sprite every time. That was actually like the number one discernment for me. I was like, she's the one. Like, that's it, mate. Every time you Sprite, I was like, we're gonna have D&Ms every time we go out for the rest of our life. This is the one.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I have so many questions from that I'm not going to ask now because we've got to end it. But
Yeah.
great. That's awesome. Thank you.
It's fun. So it'd be Sprite with a meat lover's pizza,
Beautiful.
the Eucharist, then death.
An hour later and then death. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're not overeating. There's no gluttony happening for your death, which is very smart.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Well,
Thank you, mate.
thank you again
Thanks,
for
Sarah.
coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
We that was a 20-minute wrap up. I'm so sorry.
All good.
But I hope everyone here is actually inspired to share a little bit of what you heard today, and then also again to reach out to Simon. Final wrap up. This is it. To remind everyone at home, as always, our life is not our own. We belong to Jesus Christ. So don't be afraid to go against the grain. God bless you guys.